Zach here, TBF Adventures. This video is going to be hooking up all your services to your 17 BH. Right below me at my feet, and I'll show you guys here in a minute, I've got your power, I've got your water hose with filter, water filter and regulator, and I've got your black tank hookups, black gray tank flushers. I'm wearing gloves. Always wear gloves. Safe thing to do. Everything's clean. We try to make sure of that every time. I check it before it goes out. But I keep black rubber gloves in there, or if you have your own gloves, just wear gloves. It's easier. All right, here is our supplies. Water hose, power, 30 amp power cord, and everything you need to hook up your drains. So let's get started and we'll get her hooked up. One thing I always like to tell people is order of operations to me is everything. Power, water, sewer. Gloves. Always wear gloves. Do your power, then hook up your water, then hook up your sewer last. Take your gloves off, throw them in the trash, and you're good to go. All right, first things first. Power cable. All right, you're gonna see 1, 2, 3 prongs. You've got one prong here that's got a little hook on it. When you lift this up, you're going to notice that same connection. You're going to put this in at a slight angle, and then you're going to turn it down. Turn that down, you're hooked up. Then we're going to take this in. We're going to make sure all the way over to our power box. We're going to make sure that the breaker's off. Then we're going to plug it in. Then we'll turn the breaker on. All right, now we're at the panel. So, lift up our panel. We're going to find the 30 amp plug. Your 30 amp plug looks just like that. So you're going to find that one on here, which is going to be right here. And then you're going to look up. You'll see a 30 amp breaker, 30A. Make sure that's off. Plug it in. Turn it on. All right, then what you're going to see, you're going to see a blue LED that is lit up. That's good to go. That means you're solid. We come over to the switch. You're going to see another blue LED. Kind of hard to see, but there you go. You can see that. That means you now have power hooked up to your unit. All right, let's get the water hooked up. One thing you'll notice is I always tie these two ends of the hose together. And the reason I do that is to keep water from spilling all over the place. It's just a safety measure. 90% of the time, the water's always going to drain out. There's always a little bit left, and this just keeps everything dry. Number one thing with campers is to keep things dry. Water is bad, whole thing's framed out of wood. All right, I'm going to show you this connection right here where the hose is in. We're just going to unhook this, and this will spin. All right, this is going to go into the bus. This is going to go into the trailer, and this one is going to go into the water supply. So you can unroll the hose. I usually leave what I don't need piled up. It's up to you. So we're going to take this one, city connection, bottom one, and the whole head on the trailer will spin. So you're just going to turn that knob by hand. Looks like a water faucet knob. Turn that until it's tight. Done. All right, now it's time to hook your water hose up to the supply from the campground with your regulator and your filter. Campground water is not always made to be the cleanest, so we hook this bad boy up just to make sure we don't have any issues to filter and to hold the water pressure. All right, water's hooked up, we can turn it on. Good to go. All right, now that we've got our electric and our water done, now let's hook up a drain. We've got a cap on your drain plug. All right, so from time to time, depending on how it was kept, I try to make sure it's dry, but when you take this cap off, a little bit of water may come out. Don't freak out. It's not always poop. 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be fresh water or gray water. But the reason we wear gloves. All right, we're going to take this fancy attachment right here. This is called a clean out attachment. This is going to be the first thing that we're going to apply, that we're going to install right here. You'll notice those 3 hooks, and on the side you'll see right there to where it's got a little divot. There's 3, I'll call them rings on here, and you're going to line that up and you're going to twist it and it's going to lock into place. Now you always want it to be locking at an angle like this so everything flows downhill. The key thing, poop, water, gravity's got to be on our side. So we're going to unhook. Got both hands. We're going to turn it. It can be a little hard, but it's off. I'm going to take our attachment. And the lock in. It's going nowhere. Good to go. It's in. We can leave that dangling. We'll put that back on when we pack up to go home. This is called your sidewinder. You can see this is angled all the way down. We're going to start here, and then we're going to run it all the way to the drain so we make sure we have enough fall for everything to get out. Before we do that, we're going to take our drain hose. You've got 2 ends. Notice there's a cap and there's a cap. Helps keep whatever's in the hose stay in the hose, but we always rinse the hose out. All right, the end with a 90, that's what's going to go into the ground at the campground. Your straight end, that is what's going to go hook up to your camper. So again, we're going to turn this little attachment here, put that back in the tote. We're going to lock it in. So we are hooked up at the camper. Now let's hook up at the campground. You'll notice the hose seems really short. That's okay. It compresses for storage. So you're going to grab your end. You're just going to pull it. It's going to accordion out. You're going to come all the way over, lift up the peg, and we're going to stick it in the hole. Done deal. Now we're going to take our sidewinder and we're going to run it alongside of it so we can make sure that we have the right fall. Most campgrounds require these so poop doesn't stay in the hose and stink up the campground. So always use your sidewinder to make sure you've got it. Got our sidewinder. It's got this orange thing around it, but it doesn't go all the way. So you just pull the bottom out, take it off, toss that into the tote. We'll just leave it in there, put that tote back in the basement. Take your sidewinder, set it next to the drain, grab the other end, go all the way where you need to be. Doesn't have to be perfect, just got to get the job done. Then we're going to walk beside it, take the hose over, we're going to set it inside to make sure we get the fall. There's a little cavity in there that's made perfect for the hose. Now let's take a look at the finished product. Tote, holder, caps in. Drain, you've got your rinse tube hooked up. You've got your drain hooked up with your sidewinder. Going all the way into the drain. We'll look at your water hookup. Water's hooked up. Regulator, filter, city water connection. If you're just filling the tanks, please use the same water hose. Just stick it in there, just like you're putting gas in your car. Just stick it in the hole, turn it on. Power is breakers on, breakers up, it's on, plugged in. We've got that blue LED. We're plugged in. We got blue LED. You got electric, you got water, you got sewer. When it's time to drain, you're simply going to come out and you're going to pull the gray or the black, whichever one you're draining. Gray probably multiple times. Let the water drain out. When it stops running, push the plug back in. If you got any questions during that, feel free to holler at me. All right, these are the yellow wedges. Let's say you get to a campground that's concrete and you look at it, you grab the level, and you're like, oh, it's pretty level, I just need to stabilize it. These are your wedges to keep your wheels from going anywhere. So you're going to go on each tire. You're going to put one on the front, and then on the other side, you're going to put it on the rear. One on the front on the left, one tire, one on the rear on the right tire. That way your trailer can't roll forwards or backwards, you're good to go. That's how you chalk the tires, and assuming that it's level. Now it's time to stabilize and level the trailer, the final bit. Grab your drill, and usually what I recommend is if you take this battery off while you're camping, there's a charger cable, and then there's a plug right here. Plug it in while you're camping, that way it's full battery when you leave. Really helps me out when you get back. Alright, battery's in. You want the drill going forward like you're putting a screw in the wall. So on the side you'll see an arrow going towards there and an arrow going away. When you're putting the jack down, you want to push the arrow in going towards here, stick it on, until it hits the ground and goes down just a little bit. You're going to do that to all four. Then you're going to grab the 3-foot level, stick it in the center of the trailer, and go in and level it out. You're going to see where you're at. Now my recommendation is always do forward, backward, and then left, right. So if you're doing forward, backwards, you're either going to raise up the two rear or lower them, whichever way. Do the both rear. And then you're going to do left and right until you get good and level. And then if you'll do forward and back and then left and right, you should be good to go. Now, let's say you're ready to leave. You're going to push the button on the other side of the drill that's going away from your socket here. Put it on. Go all the way up. It'll tighten up. Good to go. Do that all the way around and your leveling jacks are out of the way.